See Becky, Geneva, Daniel, Doran, Ekemini, Faith, Flora, Francis, Ishola. Of course, I don't see Ifechi. Josephine, Latifat, Maud, Esther, Ogechi, Natalie, Olatunde, Molubukola. I see you, Sato Amel Komuse. Pat, Peace, Precious. Rufai, Sheung, Shalom, Uche, Weird and Wonders. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Sambo. Okay, I was expecting there will be more on this call, actually. So if you have a friend who is looking to apply for a scholarship, send them the link, let them join today's session. And if you have those people who are on the group who have not joined, send them the link, let them join the session. My name is Martin Sikikolo. Currently, I work at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and also I do design. And what that means is typically we design public health interventions to fit to the context of human behavior with a mix of behavioral science, behavioral economics, psychology. I also conduct large-scale evaluations for public health interventions, right? And so aside from all of that, I do other things, but the most dear thing to my heart is supporting young people, which is what I'm really keen on. And that's why we have the Global Wins platforms by ULEAD. And it's quite interesting to know that we all can win. And so that's a bit about me. Fortunate enough to have slides to walk you through today, right? And so before we go into the slides, I would want to ask you, what do you expect to get out of today's session, right? Can you just tell me in the chat what you expect to get out of today's session? The title of today's session is profiling. That is profiling for a school, profiling for scholarships. What do you expect to get out of profiling for a school and also profiling for a scholarship? What are you going to get out of today's session? I'll be reading the chats to see responses. So this is the part where I'm waiting. To know the right university to go for, clarity on what opportunities are ideal for me. I'd like to learn how to position myself as the right person for a PhD opportunity I'm interested in. I expect to know how to pick my schools wisely in accordance to my qualifications and skills. Okay, can we get them coming in? I want to be able to select the most fit school for my MSc program. All right. How to be successful with the interview. For me, it is to access whether I've been applying to the right school based on my profile. Interesting. Keen. Okay. I'm waiting for more responses. Waiting for more responses. Okay. How to select the right experiences for the right course and scholarship. Sato, could you be admitting folks into the class? Or Ekemini, is that what you're doing? So if you're the one admitting folks, some people are waiting to be admitted. Francis, knowing the right program and how to match profile to the most suitable scholarship. I need a scholarship list for finance related courses. Okay. I intend to go for a course different from what I studied, and I need to be guided and also for my chosen country. I want to be successful with my interviews. I don't hire for, sorry, your application was, but we have great qualifications. Okay. Hi, Martin. Thanks for this innovation. Hi, Precious. Nice to see you. I like to know how to identify what area of my course aligns with my skills. All right. Now let's get right into it. All right. So I'm just gonna like start with why we are having this session. Why do we think profiling is important? Here at Global Wins, right? Here at ULI General, we don't think that everything is for you, right? We think that there are things specifically tailored to you, right? And you also can be tailored to certain things. We don't think everything out there is for you, all right? Because everything out there includes both good things, both right things, both the wrong things, both the right opportunities, both opportunities, right? Now, we also do not think that you should be shooting your arrows, that applications are a game of numbers exclusively. There are people that will tell you that applications are a game of numbers, that by the time you apply for 100 applications, you will get one, you get one, right? That's how they paint the picture. And because that's how they paint the picture, and that's how it has been defined to you, because that definition has affected what your results will invariably be, right? We believe you can get it right the first time. We believe you can get it right with the right approach. We believe you can get it right if you are able to tailor and build or be more specific and more strategic. So it doesn't have to be the first application. It could be the second one, it could be the third one, but we believe that these approaches can be tailored, right? When I applied for Chevening, it was the first time. It was the only time. I'm never going to apply for Chevening again, right? And there are things like that that you might need to apply for once and get it. There are things like that that you might need to apply for maybe the first time and get it, right? So you need to know what to do and when to do that kind of stuff, right? So saying all of that to say that because we do not take a proper look at ourselves to know what fits and what does not fit, or where we fit or where we do not fit, we want to do all the jobs. I have interviewed people for roles, opportunities, and they did not even remember when they applied for it. They don't even remember when they sent in the application. They can't even tell when they sent it in. And then you look at the person and then you look at the opportunity and you see a gap that you cannot identify, right? And also, some things are not for you. For some of you, achieving is not your scholarship. For some of you, it's Commonwealth. For some of you, it's not even Commonwealth. But there is something for everyone. Now, even though everything is not for you, there is something for everyone. That's the reason profiling is important. Profiling is important because even though everything is not for you, there is something for everyone, right? And you must be aligned to the things that are for you. So today's going to be a practical session. So I want you to get like your pencil or your pen, get your stuff, get your stuff, get your paper and your pencil ready to do this exercise with me, right? Because it's going to be a profiling exercise. So once you've gotten your pencil, your paper, etc., then you are ready to embark the journey. So type in the chat box once you have your writing materials, because we're going to walk through a couple of exercises together, okay? So let me know once you have that in the chat. Can you hear me, everyone? All right. So can you also see my screen? All right. Okay. Like I said, today's session is going to be about profiling. What is the right program? What's the right school? What is the right scholarship? That's the first question before every and any application. And that question is not for us to answer. That question is for you to answer. And how do you answer those questions? Several assessments. Several assessments from self-discovery to profiling the school to getting a glimpse of your future self, and also profiling the scholarships to know the ones that are for you, right? These are the things we'll be talking through today. Now, this is the reason profiling is important. The very first reason why profiling is important, personally for me, I think it's the thing about identity. It's the thing about identity, it's the thing about values, it's the thing about strength. Identity, values, and strength. It is very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate to have a person work for 10 years, 15 years, 7 years, right? The person has now become so defined by their job that when they lose the job, they cannot seem to separate their identity from the job. Because every time they come up to introduce themselves, they've been introduced as an accountant. They've been introduced as a certain kind of person. They've been introduced by the job role. So when they leave that role, their identity is so tied to the role that they are confused about who they are, right? That is why your identity, your values, and your strength are things that must be singular and they must be yours because they affect your opportunities, they affect your career, they affect the scholarship, they also affect your financial decision, your behaviors. Everything flows from the identity. Everything flows from the identity, everything flows from the value. I'm like, okay, why are you saying identity? We're supposed to be talking scholarships. Yes, yes. I can't come and tell you, oh, guys, evening scholarship, you stand a chance of winning this. It's worth about 100 million naira for a scholarship that you win, right? And then we must tell you the truth. And that's what we do here. This is the truth. The truth is, I can come and tell you how to write an essay. In short, we can demonstrate on this call how to write essays for you. You will still not get it, right? If it is not profiled for you, right? The next thing is how your story fits into the program, right? How your story fits into the scholarship or fits into the opportunity. It's important. There is a reason you studied education. There is a reason you studied law. There's a reason you went to engineering. There's a reason you have an HND or an ND or a BSc or a FAMD or whatever you have. There's a reason you have that stuff. There's a reason you taught for 2 weeks. There's a reason you taught for maybe 1 year during the NYSC. All of those things, there are fragments of your stories that can fit an opportunity, and you should be able to go back in time and align this, right? You should be able to track what you've done, how you've progressed over time. This is not just because you have to write a CV. This is because you have to know your journey. And because if you do not know your journey, we cannot start pulling out stuff into your essays. You'll be lying in your essay, right? You'll be lying in your essay. You'll be writing with ChatGPT, not because you are not intelligent, but because you've not actually taken time to understand how your story fits into the program, right? And because you're not taking time to understand how your story fits into the program, you can't really align your personal goals to impact goals and the global opportunity, right? Now, the Chevening Scholarship, for instance, they've changed the essays. The essays have changed, right? The essays are no longer 500 words for Chevening scholarships from this year. Those who are going to apply this year, precisely, I think it's going to open in 2 days, August 5th. Now, those who are going to apply for Chevening scholarship in 2 days, they are going to write 300 words as opposed to 500 words, right, per essay. And the essays are now different. You have to now tailor the essays to climate change, to other global goals, other global prosperity goals, etc. Because the entire thing has changed, right? Now, imagine you were looking to spy your essay from last year, or you were looking to copy your friend's essay because your friend won the scholarship, right? And just change a few things in your friend's essay. You can't really cheat life, you know? So, but if you know how to do it, even though they change the questions, the formula remains the same. It is your identity, your story, your connection and alignment to the personal impact and the goals. That still remains the ultimate formula, okay? I hope we're still here. Are you still here, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the first thing is a personality test. A personality test. Now, the personality test, you can take that one on your own. But I want to assume that everyone here has taken the personality test at one time, at one point in time, right? So we're going to take the next 2 minutes. If you have taken it, share your results, right? Just share your results in the chat. If you have not taken it, okay, take it. Can I have the link in the chat? Ifechi, can you drop the link to the personality test in chat?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Now, while Ifechi drops the link to the personality test in the chat, please, if you have your results already, put it up. If you don't have your result, right, take the test now with the next 2 minutes so you can write it down. We're going to just go through some of these things. All right. Now, the reason the personality test is important is what we want to talk about now. The first part is I am very different from you. You're very different from me. The things that influence you do not influence me. The things that you like, I do not like. Okay, well, let's say we are similar, right? And maybe I like the things you like. And the way I learn is different from how you learn. And the way I see the world is different from how you see the world, right? All of that influences the environment I work, the kind of jobs I would take, the kind of opportunities I would apply to. All right. If I put myself in a particular structure, it affects how productive I am, right? Because of my personality, right? Because of my personality, I'll give you an example. Because of my personality, if I was not working, if I was practically out of jobs or out of work, and I was not working, I was at home, I had 24 hours to myself in a day, right? I cannot cope. I cannot lie down on my bed reading a book. I cannot, right? I will create a project in the house, a DIY. I basically might break down the kitchen and change it, restyle it. I can call it kitchen kitchen lead project, right? It can become kitchen lead project and say, okay, your kitchen must be the place where you lead from. You must lead from the kitchen, right? So the kitchen lead project is teaching young people how to lead from the kitchen. See, I can create a project in the twinkle of an eye. I don't have to blink to do it. And I can give myself work. So basically, I'm the kind of person who I can give myself work if there is no work. So I tend to attract work, literally. I find work when there is no work. If everything is arranged right now, I will rearrange it, right? Even if it's already supposed to be where it is, right? Even if it's supposed to be where it is, if that book is supposed to be where it is, I would rearrange it. Now, all of those are the things I know about myself. Enough to know that if I'm working, I need ample time to say, okay, I have until August 5th to send out this document or to get this report ready, right? What other thing can I do? Or what exactly will I apply for? Or how do I structure my time or my environment? Because I know that I like to work under pressure. I know I like to work under pressure. I love the rush of the adrenaline when we have deadlines. I love it. I love the fact that I have to stay up late at night doing work, right? I enjoy it. Those are the things that interest me. So if there is chaos, right, I prosper in chaos. If there is order, I also prosper in order. I like things to be done in such a way that it reflects my personality. It reflects how I learn. That's an example of how my kind of person, right, influences how I learn. So I realized that it can take me twice the effort, right, to learn, let's say, economic evaluation. That I cannot just sit down in class and learn it, that I would have to go out, go home, create a mini project and build and learn, right? I know how to learn because I understand my personality, right? I also know how I have defined impact. So in case I'm applying for stuff, I know how to tell the story from the place of my personality. So when they ask me, why are you applying for this? My response to why are you applying for this comes from my identity. Now, so the reason you have to have the answer to your personality is so that your answers can spring from your identity. So that you're not trying to conform your identity into what you're applying for, but rather, right, your answers are springing from your identity, right? So I know what is most interesting for me. I know that I'm not interested in everything, all right? I know that I'm not drawn to every social issue. I know that people are going through all kinds of global problems. I know that there is never a possibility of getting zero poverty. I know there's no possibility of getting zero hunger. I know these things are not possible, right? But I know the problems that they keep me awake at night. That if I think about them, I will not be able to sleep, right? And I understand that about myself. I know the things that are very, very keen for me. So please take the test in the next 2 minutes, right? And if you've already dropped your result, drop your result. So now we're going to look at someone who has dropped their result. Okay, we have folks who are INFJ, right? And we have people who are also very turbulent and extroverted and turbulent. Now, the first thing is, I don't think most people know how to read the results of the 16 personalities test, right? And this is the only part that maybe we are going to divert a bit, just so that we can put something up. I think we have some things on the slide. Let's go forward. Now, imagine that Praise God and Obashola, right, are applying for an opportunity, right? Praise God is an advocate. Obashola is extroverted. He draws his energy. I don't know if it's a he or a she. Obashola is extroverted, or they draw their energy from being with people. They draw their energy from being involved in things that are very people centric, right? Now, this kind of person will not be best applying for a program or learning a skill where it's just you in your room, right? Then it's where it's just you in your room with your computer. You would not survive. You will start to learn coding and you will not survive. You will stop after 8 weeks, right? You start to learn data analysis and you realize that it is really, really super boring, that it is not for you, right? It is not for you. You are the guy who likes to be in a place where people are teaching and all of that. Now, that's important. Now, the two things you must pay attention to when it comes to your personality is how does it influence your learning and how does it influence your work? So if you go back to your personality test result after you've taken it, pay attention to the session that talks about how it influences your learning, that is in terms of its strengths, and how it influences your career in terms of its strengths. Now pay attention to those two sessions because those two sessions will give you adjectives and keywords that you would use to describe yourself in your applications, right? I've just said this now. I will not come back to it. So now let's come back to the next part, okay, which is the audit of the skills. Okay, the audit of the skills. Now, you graduated in 2018 from University of Ilorin. You cannot trace the skills that you have. Okay, I want on this call, everyone else on this call to write their top 5 skills. The sessions, Chichi, the sessions are the career session. There's a part where the personality test will show you your career, right? It will show you like how your personality affects your career. Okay, there's that part. It also tells you the strengths around how you learn, okay, within that session. So pay attention to those two sessions. There are adjectives right there that would help you write your essays. Okay, the link has been dropped, Emmanuel Uchena. So top 5 skills that you currently have, okay, that can shape your grad school program choice. Okay, top 5 skills you currently have from work. Now, I want you to think about technical skills, and I also want you to think about soft skills as a group of 5. Top 5 skills you currently have that can shape your grad school program choice. So please put them in the chat. So I want everybody to put up their top 5 skills in the chat. What are your top 5 skills, right? Top 5 skills. Top 5. I'm waiting to read stuff in the chat. Let's keep them coming. So I'm going to put up another section on my screen. So this is our curriculum in Johns Hopkins for our MBA program, right? So if you were in yesterday's session, you get the joke, right? So this is our curriculum. Every program has a curriculum like this. They have things that are within the program that is good to understand. Now, in this particular part of the program, where you see the details of the program, there is a place where you can actually download the actual curriculum, right? But these are the things that you start to read. So this guy is saying he wants to do an MBA in Johns Hopkins, and the MBA says this MBA is very analytic. This MBA focuses on leadership skills, right? And it's going to propel your career. And then it says build the analytic skills you need to extract breakthrough business insights from big data, right? So here you're seeing keywords: big data, business insights, analytical skills, right? And then it says strengthen your leadership skills to drive change in the fast-moving global market. So now you're seeing another key thing, which is global market. And then you're seeing immerse yourself in experiential learning projects with businesses where your insights have immediate impact. Join the world-class Johns Hopkins ecosystem and graduate in demand. 87% of carry graduates accept full-time job offers within 90 days of graduation, and alumni see an average salary increase of 139% within 3 years of graduation. Take the next step as a data-driven leader. Now, one of the key things you realize from this particular MBA program is what? There's something that has been appearing severally. You see it here: data analysis, analytical skills, complex problem solving, analytical skills, big data, all right? Data-driven leader. Now, you see that it has appeared severally. Now, this will not be a good program for me if my top 5 skills, data is not part of it. If I'm not analytic as a person, this program will not be good for me. The worst case scenario is that I will get admitted into the program. I will struggle to learn through the program. Worst case scenario. If on this particular program, right, I do get the Johns Hopkins program, right? Because what is the key word that's recurring on this Johns Hopkins program? Data-driven, right? The program is heavily what? Data-driven, heavily analytic in nature, right? So you've seen severally data appear, all right? Now you come to the section that says curriculum. In the section that says curriculum, let's say the first section was a hose, right? It was really not interesting. So you see, it says develop analytic skills you need to anticipate future market trends. That is projection analysis, right? Implement data-driven change. So just in case you missed it above, you are seeing it again beneath. You're seeing it again beneath that data is a strong part. That in the very first week, these are the things you would experience: storytelling bootcamp, business communication bootcamp, right? Quantitative skills bootcamp, 2-day bootcamp focusing on basic quantitative skills, microeconomics, right? Equation of a line, nonlinear functions, graphing lines and curves, exponents and calculus, right? Now, if you've been running away from maths all your life, is this the program you should do? Is this what you should go and apply for? No. So you have to, if you still want an MBA, you have to find an MBA that is not this heavy on analytical skills, that is more management focused. Who gets the point? Who's getting the point? Are we still here? So now let's speak a person in the chat, right? So someone in the chat has dropped 5 core skills. Flora says leadership, communication, problem solving, teamwork, collaboration, analytical skills. Now, okay. Let's say that Flora, assumingly, has 5 years of work experience in a role that is very analytic in nature. What could that role be, right? Let's say she has worked in KPMG, right? A very analytical role where she has been made to analyze market trends, to also supply all of these insights, everything economic in nature, and all that kind of stuff. But she still wants to go further, all right, to build her skills in analytics, but more from data-driven focus, like John Hopkins is putting it on the screen. Then the program is good for her. The program is good for her. Also, let's say she does not have too much communication skills, right? You see here, the heavy part of the communication, you see the storytelling. There's a storytelling bootcamp, there's a business communication bootcamp within the first classes, right? In short, the storytelling bootcamp has life design, career and life design as a part of it from day one. The business communication part also has pitch, etc., right, as part of it. And you want to then explore the foundational courses. Now we're exploring foundational courses. Accounting foundations, business communication, behavioral science, leadership and organizational behavior, leading change, negotiation, competitive strategy, data science, statistics, finance, marketing management, macroeconomics and market design, operations management. Now you're seeing this closer, on a closer look. Then you're also seeing the elective courses that you can also pick from. Now, when you've rated your skills, the next thing after listing your skill is rating your skills, right? You rate your skills to know where you are strong and where you are weak. Flora is strong in leadership. Flora is strong in analytics. Flora is not so strong in communication. And Flora is not so strong in etc., maybe whatever. This then becomes a justification to say, I'm applying for this, all right, because I have this, all right, and I also intend to strengthen this, to do this. So that assessment of those skills, right, should not be done in isolation. When you write your top 5 skills, the next thing you want to think about is how do the skills align with global development needs? Because you want to get a scholarship, you want to do a full ride scholarship, whether it's a business school scholarship or whatever. How do they align with the global development priorities for the program, right? For the program that you're interested in, how do they align, right? Do they align at all? That's the question to ask. So now we're talking global development needs, right? I'm going to put up another screen. Okay. When we say global development need, the first thing that should come to your mind, which is good, is the SDGs, right? However, the SDGs have indicators, right? But the indicators are also all connected to development index. Development index. What are development index or development indices? Now, development indices are basically numeric measurements, how you measure development in terms of numbers, how you measure development in terms of numbers, right? And when you hear things like the GDI or GNI, gross national income, that number, gross national income, for instance, right? It's one of the numeric measures of development, right? It's one of the numeric numbers of development. So, do I have skills that do not just connect to development needs? Do I have skills that can contribute to development needs? Another development needs is education, right? So when we talk about the education needs, right, we are talking about the general enrollment ratio, GER, right? There is a numeric index to capture development in terms of education. There's GER, there's GNI. But all of those things would seem vague until you are able to say, number one, yes, the screen is showing self-discovery. I've not showed the next screen yet. Calm down. Now, number one, right? You have 5 skills. You're good with problem solving. You're good with project management. You're good with communication. You're good with analytical skills, right? And you've done this. You have done this on the, let me put up the next screen now. It's loading. Okay, so why it loads? All right. Can you see my screen now? You can see my screen, right? Fantastic. So
Yes, sir.
now we're going to bring up some of the indicators. I'm just going to put up any of them. Let's say reduce inequalities. All right. Now, with your 5 skills, you've contributed to reduced inequalities because, hypothetical, purely hypothetical, you worked as a human resource person, right? You were an HRO person. In your HRO role, you developed policies, all right? You developed hiring requirements, let me not say policies. You developed hiring requirements that allowed a balance of the male to female ratio, right? In your workplace, right? And also developed the SOP, the operating procedure for allowing fathers to seamlessly apply for paternity leave. Right. Now, the skills that you select, right? The skills that you select, the skills that you select must be connected to development goals or development needs. And so you must think clearly and carefully about the skills you select as your top 5 skills. Very important. Very, very important. Now, we have reduced inequality within and among countries, right? Too much of the world's wealth is held by a very small group of people. This often leads to financial and social discrimination. In order for nations to flourish, equality and prosperity must be available to everyone, regardless of gender, race, religious beliefs, or economic status. When every individual is self-sufficient, the entire world prospers. Now, we are still talking about reduced inequalities. So we now bring up EDI, right? You bring up EDI. So you want to summarize in a very short sentence how your top 5 skills has contributed specifically either to improving the development index, those numeric numbers, right? Or the development goals, right? Or other proxy development measures like EDI. For example, you can't be talking about reducing inequality within and among countries without a mention of EDI, without a proper understanding of EDI, right? So how would you define equality? How would you define diversity? How would you define inclusion? Remember, all of these are personal and private work. You are doing this alone. Nobody knows you are doing this. If you're doing this alone, you're doing this with yourself. This is your analytical process for preparing yourself to make any of these applications. It is not required that you do it, but you want to do it. So your answers can come from a place, right? A place of proper assessment to see whether you are fit or whether it's the right thing for you. You're doing this nonetheless. Okay. Now, you've connected the skills to the goals. Let's assume that you've done that. Let's go back to our slides because we don't have time. You've done that. You've reflected. The next thing you want to think about is your career value. What matters the most to you when it comes to how you value your career? What do you value the most? Is it impact? Is it financial stability? Is it personal growth? Is it leadership? Is it autonomy? Is it innovation? Is it global exposure? Is it work-life balance? What exactly do you value the most when it comes to work? What do you value the most? This part is a bit tricky, right? This part is tricky because, like I said, when you start to think about what to write, all of the answers you get here, okay, should be part of a draft that will inform your personal statement. They will inform your response to the essay questions. All of these activities that we're doing is us generating data that you would use to answer those questions. If you have this data, you would not need to ChatGPT your way to failure. Do you understand? Because you have answers that are plugged in to identity, to your value, to your personality, to your journey and your entire story, and also connected to your skills and how they are related to global development goals. So we'll do a quick test, right? We'll do a quick test. All right. We are going to see what you value the most. Can we have this slide in the chat? This link in the chat. Please, guys, can you see the screen, everyone? 。 Okay. Those of you who cannot see the screen, you might have to exit and rejoin the meeting. Okay. Thank you. So that is a link to the Mentimeter. You are going to take a Mentimeter poll. Let me put up the Mentimeter screen so that as we're taking it, it's coming up. Where are you? Oh, Mentimeter. Okay. Let me put up the Mentimeter screen. I can see responses already. I'm just trying to pull it up to the screen so you all can see it. Let's keep the responses coming. Can we see the Mentimeter screen now, everyone? Can everyone see the Mentimeter screen? Oh, it's not coming up. Let me try again. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I need to join the meeting from the other side. Okay. Can everyone see the Mentimeter screen? All right. Sorry for that. The thing did not want to come up. Navigating 1001 tabs. Okay. Okay, so we had 8 indicators up for us to rate, right? First, people are rating impact, people are rating personal growth, people are rating financial stability, leadership, global exposure, innovation, work-life balance, autonomy. People are rating what matters the most to them. Now, be sure here that there is no right or wrong answer. What you rate is basically what you value. What do you think comes first? What comes first out of these 8 things for you? Apparently, for those on this call, impact comes first. Impact, then personal growth, then financial stability in that order. But then the question is, how does this connect to my profile? Right? It's simple. It connects to your story. It connects to your story. So now imagine you were saying that you're applying for this to amplify impact. And impact in this case means increasing the number of women who have access to ready-to-use therapeutic foods for their babies that are malnourished because you are interested in nutrition, right? That becomes how you are defining impact. Impact could mean the gender ratio of women and men, or men and females to men in an office, etc. That could be impact for you, right? Personal growth could mean maybe developing other skills aside from the skills that you already have. Financial stability could mean anything. Now, these are things that help you tell your story. They basically help you tell your story. So you are able to place in order of importance, right? If they ask you in a question, for instance, regardless of the application, why are you motivated to apply for this, right? I'm going to put right? I'll put up a program just to give you an idea, right? And you see how it all comes together. Let me put up a program. Okay. So Stanford University has a scholarship program, right? And I think it's already open for 2026. So I'm going to stop sharing the impact screen now. Can you see my screen? Okay. Let me exit. Okay. Now, Stanford University has this particular program, right? It's a very interesting scholarship program. Amazing, right? Okay. Where are the questions? I had the essay questions up somewhere. Let me see if I'll find it here. Let me pull up the questions. Hold on. I'm going to put up the questions. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to log in. If you can't see my screen, you have to like exit and rejoin. I just want everyone to see what exactly I'm trying to like show. Why those things are important in your application. All right, I think I still have access. Oh, password has changed. Okay, these are the questions they ask. Finally got it. I'm going to have to rejoin and share again. Where are you? Okay. So these are the questions they ask. Can you see my screen? Okay, so the first question they will ask you is, describe your short-term and long-term academic and professional intentions. See, not goals. They said intentions. And then you start to ask yourself, what exactly will I write? So this kind of application, for instance, NSC Scholars application, there are two things you must understand. To help you better know yourself, you have to know what exactly you have done, who you are now, what you aspire to do in the future, to be able to answer this question, this particular question. What have you done? Who are you now, right? What do you aspire to do in the future? These are the things that will help you answer these short-term and long-term academic and professional intentions. 250 words, 250 words, right? And so you should be able to connect the dots. That's why the title of the document is Connect Dots. Now, these exercises that we'll be walking you through so far that looks like a very long, arduous, stressful work, right, will help you connect the dots. Not just for NSC, but for any application on the face of the earth, regardless of the questions that it might be. Okay. So, enough has been said regarding that. Let us now proceed to other matters. Now, how did we get here in the first place? We said the first thing you must understand when you want to start the profiling process is your personality, right? You should start with understanding your personality. You start with thinking clearly about your personality. You should start with thinking about your skills, your top skills, how they're connected to global development goals, all right? We then said that in understanding this, you also should be able to know your value, what you value the most when it comes to careers and opportunity. How do you rate and rank the things that are very important to you in terms of value? How do you rank impact? How do you rank global exposure? How do you rank financial stability or whatever it is? How do you rank all of these things? How you rank all these things, right? It's now a simple thing. Number one, they would help you prioritize and amplify your impact. How you rank these things will help you tell your stories and give you a particular asset of what you write. That, okay, this is me. I'm here in the middle of the circle, and this is my work. My work is affecting this community. My work is affecting the world, right? What is important for me is that medicines are not just available to those who can afford it, right? Because I'm trying to reduce inequalities with my work. I'm just giving an example. That's not my work, right? I'm trying to reduce inequalities with my work, right? And why is this important to me? Because I have defined impact as blah, 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 blah. And the last 5 years of my career, I've been doing impact because it is this, that. Now, the choice of the school that you would make should amplify your impact because you're already good, but your school will make you better. You're already great. Your program will make you better. Your impact is already there. So it has to amplify that impact. It has to increase the circumference of impact in terms of that impact. That's what you have to bear in mind. Every program you choose, every course you choose should be able to do that for you. And you should be able to tell in your personal statement how you already have this impact or how you already have this global exposure and how the program is going to expand that. So who you are, what have you done, and what are you looking to do in the future? Even in the context of intentions, that is how it works. So now, I'll go through the next slide. So imagine that on this call, we have different personas, right? On this call, we have different people. We have somebody who studied communications and gender advocacy in Nigeria, or is working in any of those companies doing communications and gender advocacy in Nigeria, whose personality type is ENFJ. She's empathetic, she's strategic, she's a connector. What does she do? What is her current skills, right? She likes writing. She likes grassroots organizing. She likes to volunteer for Africa. She's part of 7 volunteer agencies. Like she volunteers in the day, in the night. She volunteers everywhere, right? She wants to now study international development, right, with a gender lens in the UK. Now, this is how all of these activities start to put it together. You should be able to develop a personal profile for each of your applications. So if you have 3 major applications, you're applying to Chevening, you're applying to Commonwealth, you're applying to Erasmus, you should be able to select which of this program. For Erasmus, which program am I picking? For Chevening, which program am I picking? For Commonwealth, which program am I picking? And how does that fit what I want to do? How does that fit my goal? So if the goal of, let me use a name from the chat. If the goal of Adebisi is to, this lady is called Adebisi, right? If the goal of Adebisi, for instance, is to influence policies, right, in reduce inequalities for women and girls in West Africa in the space of education, that's not specific enough, in the space of education, for instance, right, then she should know the program to apply for. So I'll pause for a bit. Think for a bit, right? What have you done the last 5 years? You've been working for 5 years. What have you done? Have you actually sat down to write your achievements, to write your mistakes, to write your learnings, to write your failures? If you've not done that, do it today. All right? Do it today. If you don't do it, nobody's going to beat you. Right? But do it. You want to win, do it. That is how to win. Sit down. What have you done in the last 5 years? You've been working, you've taught 50 kids. You've written 10 policy reports. You've hired 40 people. You've organized 4 campaigns. What have you done? Take stock of your lessons. Take stock of your achievement. Take stock of your mistakes. Because all of these things inform your applications for opportunities. Don't be that person who has no assets to deploy when it's time to make applications. If not, you ask your cousin for a template. You ask your mother for a CV. You just be looking for templates from heaven to earth. Okay, generate your own data. Okay. The next person, let me just quickly refresh my slides. I'm back. Can we still hear me, everyone? Okay, thank you. So I hope we've been learning so far. What have you learned in the last 1 minute? I hope you've learned something in the last 1 minute too. Okay. All right. They say I should wrap up, so let me wrap up. So we have another persona who likes climate change, right? Let's call that person Bamidele, Folashade, or Becky, right? I don't know. Who's that person? Okay. Let me put it in slideshow mode. Okay. So Bamidele works in climate change. She did urban planning or she studied education, whatever, right? She's very idealistic. She's very analytical. She's global minded, right? What can she do currently? She can do research. She can do research. And she can do GIS. She also has cross-cultural experience. Cross-cultural experience means she has worked with people both within Africa and outside of Africa. She has this, right? Okay. The next thing you want to think about is Bamidele's dream is to study environmental sustainability in Ireland or Germany. That's what she wants to do. She wants to study environmental sustainability in Ireland or Germany so that she can work. Now, the next thing, this is important. One thing that people do not think about is what happens after they've done the masters. What happens after they've done the masters? Right? Okay, now you have the masters. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Okay, now you have the PhD. What are you going to do with it? So there has to be some sort of ultimate goal that you have. So the reason you have to have a personal profile like this, right, is because it helps you post MSc or post the study or post the, oh, they already gave Bamidele a name. They called Bamidele Toby Ojo. I hope there's no Toby here. Right. Okay, so any name on this slide is completely fictional. All right. All right. So she wants to design eco-resilient cities. That's a very big word. Now, designing eco-resilient cities, possibly even myself, I do not know what eco-resilient cities are. I don't think that Nigeria is there yet. Okay. So she wants to design why are you Adam? She wants to design eco-resilient cities. So I'll give an example of what we mean by eco-resilient. Currently we're doing some eco-resilient health facilities. So what that means for us is in facilities around Zimbabwe and South Africa, or places where there is extreme heat or extremely high temperature, in places like in India where temperature used to rise up to like 51, 41 degrees on a sunny day, right? If you go to those health facilities, it's so hot that you want to run away. As a healthcare worker in a labor room, you want to run away. And a woman is in labor and there's heat everywhere, there's no light. The walls are really hot, right? The building material is really bad. Now, eco-resilience would mean that the materials used for the roofing, the materials used for the wall, right, takes proper consideration. Proper consideration is taken to like design them, right, to cool in times of heat, extreme heat, right? When the weather is extreme, it takes itself, it can adjust, or there are things within the room that can help regulate the temperature, right? There are things within the room that can help regulate the temperature of the room, right? Now, this is an example of eco-resilient, blah, 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 health facilities. Now, imagine that you're not just thinking of eco-resilient facilities, you're not thinking of eco-resilient cities, right? And this lady wants to study environmental sustainability in Ireland or Germany so that she can do that. That becomes the goal she puts in her application. That becomes her justification for her Erasmus application. That becomes the justification for achieving application, right? That becomes what she writes, right? And there is no point in writing a goal that you have not already been working towards for the last 5 years. There's no point in writing a goal that you have no background or business in, okay? It's either work experience background or academic background. There has to be some sort of background or post BSc background. There has to be some sort of background. So you must see climate change, then urban planning, right? She wants to design urban planning, you see. Now, that's important. Don't go and jump the gun. Okay? Are we still here? Okay. And then we have Emmanuel. Is there Emmanuel on this call? Let's see if there's an Emmanuel on the call. So we have Emmanuel Roberts. The Emmanuel we have is Emmanuel Eniola. Okay, so it's not you. We have Emmanuel Roberts. He wants to do PhD in epidemiology in the UK. Don't worry, Emmanuel Eniola, don't raise your hand. I'm not calling you. I'm just making mention of Emmanuel Roberts. I hope Roberts is not your husband's name and that's not your father's name. If it is, this is completely fictional, right? So he has a background in public health and data science. He loves research. Statistics is common and easy for him. He has been doing a lot of field research. He has been working with an NGO Akugbe Foundation in Abuja. They've been going to the bush to go and collect data. They've been entering forests, to do like OBR, etc. They've been doing program evaluation, to do some reports. And his dream is to do PhD in epidemiology in the US. He wants to lead global health research at maybe WHO, a think tank like RAND. RAND is an amazing organization, RAND, right? A think tank like RAND. Now, that's his goal, that's his dream, that's what he wants to do. That would also influence his application. The reason I'm giving you all of these examples is so that at least one of them can be related or connected to you, so that you can build your own personal profile. After you've done all of those assessments, the next thing you want to do is build your own personal profile. Okay, this is how it all comes together. So if you've not done the personality test, do it. Extract the information you need from it. Do your skills assessment. Do your value assessment, and start to build out your profile in that regard. The next thing you want to do is you built out your profile as a person. You built out your profile based on your personality, based on your experience, based on your dream, your goal. Now you are now thinking about the schools. And you're thinking the United Kingdom, you're thinking the US, you're thinking Europe. What are the factors you should consider before you go to any of these places? Before you pick any of these places, what are the factors you should consider? For instance, if you were to pick Europe, one of the key things you should be considering is the language, right? If you know that you will struggle with the language, that learning languages do not come easily for you, you have no business going to study in Germany, a course that is completely taught using German language. But if the course is taught in English, then you can, of course, go to Germany, right? If the course, right, is a multi-country program, you can also consider that. For instance, Erasmus is like the only master's scholarship that gives you access to get like 2 degrees from 2 separate world-class universities, super life-changing, right? All Erasmus Mundus programs, they allow you to study in at least 2 to 4 countries within a 2-year period, right? You can't study between, if you're studying, for instance, if you're studying, let's say you're studying public health, you will study public health in the UK, you also study public health in Europe. So you have a full ground experience of what it means to study public health in a place like France or Spain, and also what it means to study public health in a space like Sheffield or in the UK, right? But the public health is not just generic public health. It is very specific public health with a global focus, right? Either on climate change or on AI or on data science. The courses in Erasmus Mundus catalog are very future specific. They are also very research heavy. They are also very innovative. From their global health programs to their economic prosperity programs to their financial blah, blah, blah programs, they are all very future oriented. Now, the other thing you should be considering is the living condition. What would my life be like if I am in a place like Europe, right? What is the part post-study for me in this place in terms of the visa? Now, for those of us who come from Africa, the visa pathway is another thing to consider, right? The visa pathway is another thing to consider. That should be at the back of your mind. If you're choosing a US school, you're thinking, number one, of the research capacity of the school, right? You're thinking about the ranking of the school. You're thinking about funding, all right? You're thinking about career. Where would you be able to work, right? If you're thinking about the UK, you're thinking about how long will the program last? Is there going to be a scholarship in this? Is there going to be, what's the reputation of the school? What am I going to be able to do afterwards? You're thinking in that regard. Now, when it comes to any of these countries, pick a program that fits your desired duration. For example, a PhD in the US is at least 5 years. Whereas a PhD in the UK is at least 3.5 years. So you can do 1 year extension if you are not able to submit your dissertation on time, right? So 3.5 years against 5 years. An MSc in the US is 2 years. It gives you time to learn, to do other programs, blah, blah, blah. But if time is not on your side and you want to do it sharp and fast and go straight into work because you want to marry and give birth fast, you have to choose the UK, right? Because you do a sharp 1 year program, right? Do it, come out like you didn't do it, marry the love of your life and give birth to beautiful kids, right? And then go and do whatever you want to do with your life. I don't know why people are laughing. This is the actual, this is what you should be thinking in your brain when you're deciding what to study and where to study, right? Now, beside this, the way the schools in the UK are ranked and the way the schools in the US is ranked is different. So I'm going to put 2 links up in the chat that you guys should check out after this session. Okay. So there is something called arrow 1 and arrow 2. Okay. When we're talking about universities in the US, right? So you need to go check out arrow 1 institutions and arrow 2 institutions. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. Can you see this on my screen, everyone? So what is the difference here? What is arrow 1? Please, what is arrow 1? What's arrow 1? Very high research activity. Okay. What is arrow 2? High research activity. So that is how they rank schools in the US. Schools are ranked based on the intensity of the research that happens there. Okay. Now, for a place like MIT, is MIT arrow 1 or arrow 2? Can you see it? MIT is arrow 1. Okay. Okay. Now, where is that? Pennsylvania State University. For Pennsylvania State University, can you see? Is arrow 1. For Stanford, where is Stanford? Arrow 1. For Texas A&M, arrow 1. You see it? Now, these schools that have very high research activity, they used to have crazy funding that is not advertised. Very, very crazy. You can see University of Alabama at Birmingham, arrow 1, right? So you must see this. This is the list. So I'm going to drop a link to this list so that you can take a look at it, okay? This is the Carnegie classification. It helps you understand the US school ranking. So if you're considering the US, where is John Hopkins on this list? See it, arrow 1. Where is Harvard? Arrow 1. So it's not like if you go to arrow 2, you will not be employed though. But this is how schools are ranked. Your employability is entirely up to you. Your employability is entirely up to you. But the class of the university you attend should be you who also makes that decision, right? So you can decide to go to the ones on the left or the ones on the right. But usually people just go to where the money is, right? And then people just really go to where the money is. But this is one thing that is not publicly known most times. One thing that people do not know is that schools that have very big names, right? Schools like Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard and John Hopkins and all that, schools with big names, they seem to be very scary for a lot of people. But the thing that people do not know is that these schools with big name, like Yale, these schools with big names, they have a lot of funding. Just click on the link directly. They have a lot of funding in these schools with big names. Okay. Now, for the UK, the classification for the UK is Russell Group. Right. Now, Arrow 1 and Arrow 2 are basically Ivy League university. So what is called Ivy League in the US is basically called Russell Group in the UK. Right. Basically called Russell Group in the UK. Can you see my screen? Everyone, can you see my screen? You see? These are, you see it? These are like their Ivy League schools. These are the Ivy League schools, yeah, in the UK. York, Warwick, UCL, Sheffield, Southampton, Belfast, Nottingham, Oxford, Queen Mary University of London, Newcastle University, University of Manchester, London School of Economics, University of Liverpool, University of Leeds, King's College, London, University of Exeter, University of Glasgow, Imperial College London, right? University of Edinburgh, Durham University, Cardiff. There's supposed to be Leeds on this list. Yeah, he's here. Okay, cool. Now, these are Russell Group universities. Fantastic list to choose from. Fantastic list to choose from. Right. The ranking of the school can also be a deciding factor for you. You can say, I want to go to Oxford. I must go to Oxford. I must live in Oxford. I must. Why? You just say, I must go there. I must go there. My grandfather died. When he was dying, he said to me, son, go to Oxford. When you get there, write my name on the wall and say, Ikechuku Chinazakberry was here. Don't move. Anyway, you get the point. All right. So that's Russell Group. So let's come back to where we are. But choosing a school is not about just the ranking. There are many factors. The school can rank high, but they don't have money for you. They only have money for home students. The school can rank high. They don't have a track record of the kind of work you want to do. They are not great when it comes to your course. They can be very high, but they're not great when it comes to your course, right? You see it. So there are several factors. Then the school can be so great, it doesn't technically introduce you into the world of work as you want, right? And so that's why you must now do your ranking, not just by the school level, you have to bring your ranking down to the program itself or the course of study level, right? But remember, this is after you've done your personality assessment. You have now come down to this level of ranking schools, right? Or ranking the schools. So you've ranked the schools and 2 schools are now on your mind. You are now thinking Imperial College. You've chosen UK. You said to yourself, oh, it's UK I want to do. It's UK I want to do. My cousin is in UK. My sister's wife, cousin's brother's aunt is in UK. Once I get to their city now, everything will just be fine. Now, you've decided what you want, right? You've been very sentimental about your decision. You see the way you decide, you see the way you make your decisions, right? Now it's important. But we are saying if you want to make a decision based on the duration of the program, the reputation and the track record of the school. Is there a scholarship? Are you eligible for it, or is it compatible with what you want to do? Is there a leadership and public health impact or public impact? Right. That's if you're going to the UK. If it's Europe, is there a sustainability or multi-country program for you? Choose based on that. Right. The next thing you want to think about is you have now come down to 2 specific schools, right? London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, tropical medicine, medicine. All right. And then Imperial College London. So if you had these two schools give you admission and you had a scholarship to these two schools, which one would you pick? So I want two persons to respond to me. Which one would you pick? And how would you make that decision? So the first person should raise their hand. Nobody's raising their hand. Raise your hand, though. So I will not close this session now. Daniel, which schools would you pick and why? Daniel, you can unmute the mic and speak.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'll pick Imperial College London, MPH, I think Masters Public Health, because Imperial College London, first of all, on my own ranking, global exposure came first. So Imperial College London, because of its ranking on global scale, then because it aligns with my future goals of probably coming up with a effective vaccination strategy to ensure that the death rate of malaria is brought to zero in Nigeria and mitigated in Africa. So that's why I'm going to choose Imperial College London. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Obashola Mohammed, your turn.
All right. For me, I think the school of choice I will consider between these two should be MSc Public Health at London School of Hygiene and Tropical. And here is my reason. I don't make choice based on school waiting alone, but rather I consider the strengths in terms of its relation to the course of study I really want to do. So considering the fact that assuming I'm focusing on Africa, and I know in Africa we have a lot of underdeveloped part of it, which need critical learning and some other forms of exposure that could really help in their community. So I would take into consideration the tropical part, which is the extension of MSc Public Health as compared to that of Imperial College of London.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think Pat also has a hand or his hand raised. I don't know if Pat is he or she. Pat, can you say something?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
I'll choose the MSc in Public Health at London School of Hygiene and Tropical because of one, first of all, first is the research extensive, like in-depth of research they are into in public health. Also because of the tropical aspect that is limited, like the regional aspect comparing to African aspects and the ability to embed it into education, which also looking into. They can embed their research into education. So I think it will best suit me in that aspect compared to the imperial aspects. Imperial is a good school, but I feel like it's not it's not designed for people like me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, three contenders, for your opinions and your views. Fantastic. Okay. Now, please take note that the condition was that you already have funding from these two schools to study MSc Public Health at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and also to study MPH at Imperial College London. Right. So now let's look at these two schools closely, right? For this program, at this program level, yeah. So this is London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. It is not a university that has undergraduate degrees. They don't do anything undergrad. Everything they do there is postgraduate, and everything they do there is research. Okay. And this school was founded 130 years ago, specifically to do research for medicine, for doctors, for Africa, for blah, 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 right? It has a colonial history to it, right? But that's in the conversation we're trying to get into. Now, so we are making our decisions and then we are looking at program-specific rankings, right? So for public health in the world, the only school that beats Imperial London School of Hygiene is Johns Hopkins for public health. And all they do in London School is public health. They don't do anything else apart from public health. Whereas we have our cousin school, which is Imperial College, which is number 2 in the world, according to QS ranking. They have undergraduate degree. They also have postgraduate level, right? They do a mix of things. They do business, they do science, they do engineering, they do mathematics, right? They do a lot of all of that. So now we're going to specifically look at their public health program, right? Okay. So we are here. Okay. So you can see this. Fantastic. Now you're looking at this school. Remember, like I said, you already have a scholarship to study here, so you're not bothered about this £45,000. All right. You've gotten the funding, now you're studying for 1 year. You also meet the requirements and all that. But now you want to decide. Now they teach the basic foundations of public health, which is epidemiology, foundations of public health practice, statistical thinking, research methods, right? They teach health economics. That's all they teach when it comes to public health, right? And then they have some optional modules that you can choose from what's it called? Health promotion, participatory approaches in public health, digital health, global health, health system development. So they have other optional that you can pick 1 or 2 from and add to that, right? So you have that as well here, okay? That's what you have if you do public health there. That's what you get. You do 6 courses plus 1 extra, okay? And then you do MSc Public Health. In London School. So in London School, everything they do here is public health. Public health for eye, public health for ear, public health for nose, public health for mouth, public health services, right? Everything's public health. So now let's say you picked public health mainstream, right? Now for this, you came to the website and then you saw this. You saw all of these things. I want to stress out the fact here that for this program, you're doing 10 courses, right? You're doing 10, but you can pick from streams. They have 4 streams: health services research, health services management, health promotion, health economics. These are streams. These streams are not the same as the modules. But in terms of modules, you have compulsory modules. There are 3 terms. You have compulsory modules. After the compulsory modules, you will now pick 5 other compulsory modules, which will make your modules a total of 10, right? So, and the kind of modules that you have here, right, you don't have them in any public health school in the UK, literally, because, I mean, all they do is public health, right? So if you need more options, if you really need more options, let's say you needed to like specify, let's say what you wanted to do is health services research. These guys would give you more specific public health training, right? While these guys will give you more generic public health training, right? more generic public health training, which is also fine, right? So it now depends, like I said, on you. But let's go back, right? You now have to make your decision, and you're now looking at how you're deciding. You're deciding based on data. You're not deciding, oh, based on what people have said and all that. So you're thinking, here you are, you're thinking, you're thinking, okay, if I go to this school, if I go to Imperial College, what will I get? If I go to London School, what will I get? Your data has to help you decide. And it has to be a personal decision that you make, not because you spoke to someone or because someone spoke to you. It has to also be aligned to your goals. That is the reason why everything has to be connected, right? So don't base your decisions on sentiment. Don't base your decision on anything that you're not certain about. Base your decision on data, because you can trust data, okay? Now, or you can base your decision on the leading of the Spirit. Okay. Next, scholarship profiling. But those of you who know me, you know which school I would choose now. If you give me Imperial College and you give me London School, you know the one I would choose. Okay. So you have to choose a scholarship that fits your goal, your profile. Okay. If you have 2-2, you have no business applying for what's the name of this scholarship? Rhodes Scholarship. If you have a 2-2, don't even go near Rhodes Scholarship. If you have a 2-2, don't go near it. All right. If you have a first class, you can consider it. Okay. Now, when you're thinking of scholarships that you should apply for, start to think about, am I eligible for this scholarship in terms of academic background? For this scholarship in terms of my work experience, right? So, like I said, there are scholarships specific to people with leadership skills. There are scholarships specific to people with innovative skills. There are scholarships specific to people with research skills, right? Different scholarships have different criteria for things that they are looking for, right? So your scholarship decision or the scholarship that you should apply for should be a scholarship that connects to any of this for you. If you have more leadership strength, you'll be stronger. It will be better for you to apply for something like McBain leadership, Knight NSC leadership, right? And all that kind of stuff. If you're thinking more research, more future oriented, and part of your work has been that you've done work for 1 year, and the work for 1 year has been in an area that is really, really connected to any of the programs within the Erasmus program, then you should be thinking Erasmus. You should be thinking Erasmus. If you can connect your experience to the European Union goals, then you should apply for that. The next thing you want to think about is these schools or these countries, they have scholarship that is both internal and external. The scholarships that could be internal, for example, is like the Knight NSC scholarship, is specific to Stanford, right? It's very specific to Stanford University, right? And it's a full-blown scholarship. You don't pay a dime when you're on that scholarship, right? It's a crazy scholarship. Now, there is also another scholarship, like the World Bank scholarship. You have the World Bank scholarship, for instance. If you've graduated from the university in the last 5 years, you are still eligible for the World Bank scholarship. If you've graduated from the university more than 5 years ago, you are no longer eligible for the World Bank scholarship, right? The World Bank Joint Japan scholarship. You're no longer eligible for that scholarship, for instance. Now, to now try to fit in your eligibility within the scholarship, right, it's now a problem. So these are the things you should be considering. The next thing is, if I go for this scholarship, it's quite difficult to find a scholarship that will cover for your dependents or offer relocation support, right? But there are scholarships like that, right? So look at your scholarship and look at the money to cover. If the money is partial and you have the capacity to raise the other parts, not going online to go and post that, okay, I've gotten this scholarship, come and help me if I die here. Come and, the world GoFundMe account. You don't have to go and be doing GoFundMe over a scholarship. So you have to plan properly. There's nothing wrong with people doing GoFundMe for their academic programs. I just feel like you should have a plan in place. to target whether a full tuition scholarship or a partial tuition scholarship, right? Not to come online. If you've gotten the scholarship and it's flight money you need help with, okay, we can help you. We can gather money and okay, let's the whole village we can now donate, and so okay, let's give you flight money. You don't have the flight money, you don't have the visa money, you don't have most of the money, you've not even planned for it, you've not saved towards it, you've been working, you have been doing dirty December. The rest of us that have been saving, we should not come and donate our money for you. So go on. Come on now. Well, I beg. Let's be guided. Okay. So you also want to think about, will this scholarship require me to write essays? Will this scholarship require me to write English tests? Should I start making the application? Should I start writing my essay now? Right. But remember, the scholarship should fit your profile, it should fit your skills, it should fit the goals that you set based on your persona. These are the things that helps you decide what scholarship you are best for. Right. This country, if I go and study at Imperial College, if I study MSc Entrepreneurship in Imperial College, right, is that the best thing I can get? Do I have to return home after studying there? Is there a mandatory requirement that I must meet, right? You have to think of all of those things when you are thinking about the scholarships to apply for. And there are really great scholarships, all right? And that's why this session has been created. So we are saying that today, you should be able to think about yourself, right? Like Ada and Toby, which scholarship will be best for them? Is it the DAAD scholarship? Is it the Fulbright scholarship? Is it the Commonwealth scholarship? Is it Erasmus or Chevening? What should they do? Right? Okay. Lastly, we've spoken a lot, although we have 7 more minutes. Now, this is one thing I personally like. You have to write a letter to yourself from the future. And this future we're speaking about is 2030. The date is August 3rd, all right, 2030. You want to write a letter to yourself, telling yourself the work you are currently doing, right? You want to envision where you'll be in 5 years, what project you'll be working on in 5 years, what kind of role you'll be having in 5 years, what kind of career you have in 5 years, what kind of family would you have, where would you be in 5 years, all right? This future me exercise is important. So we're going to do this in the next 4 minutes, right? And then I'll close. Write a short letter to yourself. If you're going to write a congratulatory SMS to yourself, right? What would you congratulate yourself for, right? That is what you should think about, okay? For example, you could say, Dear Martins, congratulations. This year, 2030, and you've just wrapped up a $10 billion project for Africa, right? And it has supported the infrastructural development of youth employability in Africa, blah, 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 right? That could be a letter that I will write to myself, right? Eventually, your work in XYZ has paid off. Just reminding yourself, if you can look at the future for a bit, what will be most important for you? What will be most important for you? This is the last thing I want us to do. So if you're going to give yourself if you're going to congratulate yourself 5 years from now, what would you congratulate yourself for? What would the congratulatory message be? Are you going to congratulate yourself for a job well done in public health, for a job well done in financial analysis, for a job well done in entrepreneurship and wherever? So what would it be? So take a screenshot of this, right, and do the activity. And if you have the sentence, you can send it to yourself in the chat. It will be fun to try out. Let's wrap up. So this is all of the things that we wanted you to think about today to build out your own profile. We've looked at a lot of things. I'm going to now do like a quick shot of all of them. Now, see all the things we've looked at so far. We've looked at self-discovery, profiling for school, future me, and then profiling scholarships, right? Why is it important that you profile yourself? Because it will help you clarify your identity, your strengths, and your value. It will allow you to see how your scholarship and your story fit. It will also allow you to see how your goals fit within the opportunities that are available, right? A personality test that allow you get your strengths, get how you learn, get how you impact the world. If you've not taken that ticket, then you do your top 5 skills, you write your top 5 skills and choose a program that they align with and choose the development goals that they connect to, right? And then you select the things that are most important to you in this order. Is it impact that's most important? Is it leadership that's most important? Is it autonomy? What's most important to you? We did that as well. And then after doing all of that, you're not considering the school profiling. Is it Europe that you're supposed to be in? Is it the US? Is it the UK? So what should you consider? Number one, those who went to that school, what are they now doing with their lives? What is the admission requirements? Does the admission require me to write IELTS? Do I need to write GMAT? Right? Would that increase my chances? You have to be very realistic. Will the school give me global exposure or regional exposure? What kind of people will I work with? What will be the mentorship opportunities I have access to? What will I do with that kind of access? Right? Then you put together your persona. Your name is Toby or Ada. I don't even know if this girl's name used to change anyhow. Okay, this is Ada this time around. Your name is Ada. You're a communications and gender advocate in Nigeria. Right? You are ENFJ. You are strategic policy writing. This would inform the scholarship she applies to. You also have Toby. She's in climate change. She wants to do eco-resilient cities. And this guy, Emmanuel, is in public health. So you have to have a persona like this. After today's session, write a future letter to yourself. Take your personality test. Write out the experiences you've had the last 5 years, where you've worked, what you've done, what you've achieved, where you have failed. List the scholarship that you're interested in, the country you want to go to. Take out time to do your own research, right? And make that simple one-page commitment to yourself. Because for the next 5 weeks, we're going to give you sections like this, right? Each of the sections after today is going to be focused on any of these things for you. Now, do all of that. Rank the schools. Make your choice based on your ranking, your own personal ranking, and then decide what scholarship do I go for. Narrow down your scholarship. Don't apply for 4 different scholarships, 6 different scholarships. You should at least do 2 or 3 so you can actually narrow stuff down. So you don't spread yourself too thin. If it's me, I will do 1, right? I can do 1 major scholarship, maybe 3 internal scholarships within the schools, right? So that's on the personal note, right? But it's up to you. Decide. You can even apply for 4 and win on the 4, but do the thing that you can do. Don't go and do more than you can do and you are not able to do what you said you would do, right? At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. Should you go for Chevening? Should you go for Erasmus? This is a decision only you can make after you build your profile. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember this. There is an opportunity for everyone, right? Not everything is for everyone. There's an opportunity for everyone, but not everything is for everyone. And it's not too late to be what you want to be or to do what you want to do. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'll hand over the mic to Ifechi and her team.
Hi, Mr. Martins. Thank you very, very much. That was very, very insightful. Can we do more with the reactions? Let's put our hands together for Mr. Martins. Let's appreciate him. Let's show him love. Thank you very much, Mr. Martins. Do we have any questions? We can take just one. So the first person to use the raise hand button would ask you. You can unmute your mic and speak. Okay, so Shalom, you can ask your question.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to appreciate Mr. Martins for this section. For this session, it was really, really amazing. So I have a question. When he talked about the aspect of we trying to profile ourselves, that is trying to check our personality, or rather trying to check who we are, what we have done, and then what we intend to do in future, so as to determine our long and short term academic and professional goal. Now, he said something about the aspect of what we've done in the past 5 years, probably in our workplace. So now I want to ask, if we're trying to assess what we've done in the past 5 years, is it just going to be in our workplace? Because what if my last 5 years has been just around the school environment during my undergraduate? So am I still while assessing this, do I still have to assess what I've done in the last 5 years as a student within my department, my achievements as a student, or it has to be strictly what I did in my workplace for someone like me that does not have work experience yet? Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martins.
As a student, what have you done in your school year? All the years you were in school, what did you do while you were in school? What academic activity, what extracurricular activity were you a part of? They're also very valid questions, right? They're also very valid questions. What were the achievements you had? What were the mistakes that you made and learned from, right? That is connected to what you want to do in the future. Yes, you can also access that as well if you do not have work experience. So that's the shortest answer to your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, for instance, it could be maybe you have been a member of JCI, maybe you've done SUG leadership, maybe you've done work study during your time in school, maybe you're a course rep, maybe you organized protests for people at Uniben main gates, right? Yeah, it depends. It depends. There's an infinite amount of stuff you could have done.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Martins. I believe we don't have any other questions. If you have more questions, or probably in the course of reflecting on the topic or on the resources that we
I think was raising his hand or her hand.
Okay, sorry for the oversight. Hi, Pat. Do you want to unmute your mic and ask your question?
Or is the raise button a mistake?
Okay, so I think it's probably a mistake. All right. So if you have any other questions, or if some thoughts, or some questions arise as you reflect. Okay, I can see that Olubukola has a question. Well, I can ask. That will be the last question for today. Hi, Olubukola. I can unmute your mic and ask your question.